I want to provide the privacy for that data. In that time, I required the characteristics called data confidentiality. To support non-repudiation security service, I'm going to have digital signature, data integrity and notarization. Closure attack is nothing but the exploring the data or information which is stored in the computer memory. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on network security. I'm Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Before going to start my today's session, let me to recall the things what I had discussed in my previous session. In my previous session, we learned the two different types of attack, that is nothing but active attack and passive attack. So what is active attack and what is passive attack? Here the two attacks are the nature of attack. So here I'm going to have passive attack and active attack. So what is active attack? In the active attack, the data are modified by the intruder or hacker, whereas in the passive attack, the data are observed or monitored by the hacker. So this is the main difference between active attack and passive attack. Then we had discussion regarding security mechanism. In the security mechanism, we are going to have 8 different security mechanism, that is encipherment, data padding, then digital signature, then we discussed authentication exchange, then we had discussion regarding notarization. So these are the some of the different kinds of mechanism comes under security mechanism. So these are the topics we discussed in my previous session. In my today's session, I'm going to discuss network services and mechanism. Along with that, I'm going to discuss security service. So let's see what is network service and network mechanism. Till today, we were discussing about the different types of network attacks. Now, I want to manage these attacks and I want to provide two services to manage these kind of attack. To that, I required some kind of network services as well as network mechanism. So, who is responsible for providing network service and network mechanism? That is none other than ITU. So what is ITU? Here ITU is nothing but International Telecommunication Union and Standardization Sector. So who is responsible for providing service as well as mechanism here is, that is International Telecommunication Union and Standardization Sector provides some security service as well as some security mechanism to achieve security goals as well as service. Security services and mechanisms are closely related each other because the mechanism or the combination of mechanisms are used to provide services. That means here the security as well as security mechanisms are related to each other in order to achieve the security goals. Then here the processing or communication service that enhances the security of data. That means if we want to provide the security of data processing system as well as information transformation of an organization, then I must provide security services as well as security mechanism. That means, suppose if I want to provide security for information system. So what is information system here? That holds the large amount of data and information transfers of an organization. That means to transfer the data from the or within the organization, we are going to follow different way. Now I want to provide the security for the data processing system as well as the information transfer of an organization. I required communication service. Now who is going to provide the communication service? That is none other than ITU, that is International Telecommunication Union, and standardization sectors are responsible for providing security mechanism as well as security service. So here the International Telecommunication Union and standardization provides some standard called X.800. So what is the standard name which is provided by International Telecommunication Union and standardization sector is nothing but X.800, which is related to the telecommunication as well as OSI reference, that is OSI recommendation. So what is OSI here? It is Open System Interconnection, and it provides 7 different layers. Anyway, we studied what is OSI and what are the different kinds of layers supported by the OSI in our previous semester. So here the recommendation X.800, what's the name? And what it provides? It provides security architecture for OSI. So what is OSI once again? It is Open System Interconnection, used as reference to systematically evaluate and define security requirement. So here the standard called X.800 is nothing but the security architecture for OSI reference model, and which is used to provide reference to systematic evaluate and define security requirement. Now I'm going to have security service. So what is security service? Here the X.800 has defined 5 different services. That means under the standard called X.800, we are going to have 5 different security service. Those are data confidentiality, data integrity, authentication, non-repudiation, and access control. So I repeat here, it is data confidentiality, data integrity, authentication, non-repudiation, as well as access control. Moving further, I'm going to have data confidentiality. So what is data confidentiality? Why I require data confidentiality? To provide data privacy, I require data confidentiality. So what is data confidentiality? That is nothing but privacy. That means think that I have some sensitive data or confidential data, and only the authorized user can able to access and view the data. Now I want to provide the privacy for that data. In that time I require the characteristics called data confidentiality. and it is designed to protect data from disclosure attack. So what is disclosure attack? So here disclosure attack is nothing but exploring the data or information which is stored in the computer memory. Dear student, I repeat that here disclosure attack is nothing but the exploring the data or information which is stored in the computer memory. So now I want to protect the data from the disclosure attack. So what I required? Once again, I require data confidentiality. Then the services as defined by X.800 is very broad and encompasses confidentiality of the whole message or part of message. That means here the standard X.8000 provides the data confidentiality for the whole message or the part of the message. It is designed to prevent snooping and traffic analysis. Dear student, in the data confidentiality threat or attack, we are going to have two different kinds of attack, that is snooping attack and traffic analysis attack. Anyway, I discussed these two topics in my previous session. Now I want to provide security for snooping attack and traffic analysis attack. So which standard I'm going to use? That is nothing but X.800. In that I'm going to have the security service called data confidentiality. That means designed to prevent the snooping and traffic analysis attack, I'm going to have data confidentiality. Moving further, I'm going to have integrity. So what is integrity? Here integrity is used to ensure that whatever the data we received, that is identical or real or accurate. That means the received data does not altered or modified by the third party or the hacker. So the data integrity is designed to protect data from modification. So what is modification? That is nothing but the alteration of data. That means whatever the data we are going to have, that may be deleted or modified, or some portion of the data may get deleted. Now I want to protect the data from the modification. So what I required? Once again, I'm going to use the standard called X.800, which provides data integrity. That means only the authorized user can able to modify or access the data. Now it is designed to protect the data from modification or insertion or deletion and replaying by the advisor. So what is insertion? That means the hacker may add extra things to the original data, or the hacker may delete some portions from the data. Now I want to provide the security for data. What I have here? That is nothing but data integrity. It may protect the whole message or part of message. That means by using data integrity, I can able to protect the whole data or the portion of data. Then I'm going to have another type, that is authentication. So what is authentication? That means only the valid or the authorized user can able to access or view the data. This service provides the authentication of the party. That means to access or to view the data. Before that, what they want to do? They want to provide the authentication between the two parties. That is, this service provides the authentication of the party at the other end of the line. So there are two type of authentication, that is connection oriented authentication and connection less. So what is connection oriented authentication? It provides the authentication of the sender or receiver during the connection establishment. That means before going to communicate each other, at the beginning itself, they are going to provide the authentication between the two parties, that is nothing but sender and receiver. That means at the beginning itself, we are going to establish the connection between two party. That kind of authentication is called connection oriented communication. Then I'm going to have connectionless communication. That means it authenticates the source of the data. That means the data origin authentication. So who is responsible for originating the data? That is none other than the sender. So in the connectionless communication, we are going to authenticate the source of the data. So it may be the sender or from where the data is generated or originated. So here it is data origin authentication. That means the data origin authentication is called connectionless authentication. Then I'm going to have non-repudiation. So before going to discuss about non-repudiation, let me to recall the thing. What is repudiation? And where we discussed repudiation attack. In the integrity attack, we were come across repudiation attack. So what is the repudiation attack? The repudiation attack is completely different from all the other attack. That means here we are going to have two party, that is nothing but sender as well as receiver. That means the sender is also going to deny and the receiver is also going to deny after receiving the data. And this kind of attack itself called repudiation attack. Now I want to overcome this repudiation attack. For that, I'm going to have the non-repudiation service. So this is provided by X.800 standard. This service protects against repudiation by either the sender or the receiver of the data. So as I told, here we are going to have two party, that is nothing but sender and receiver. So after receiving data, the receiver is going to deny that I did not receive data, or the sender is going to deny. So here I am going to have two party, that is nothing but sender and receiver. Now I want to provide the security for this kind of attack that can be achieved with the help of non-repudiation. In non-repudiation, with the proof of origin, the receiver of the data can later prove that identity of the sender if denied. I'm going to consider small example, that is I'm going to have the sender and receiver. In the sender, think that I'm going to have A, and another side I'm going to have receiver, that is nothing but B, that is nothing but your bank manager. Now the sender is going to send some request to the bank manager. Okay, after the transaction is happened, the sender is going to deny that they did not do any such kind of request. Now, I want to provide the security for this kind of attack, that is, we are going to have non-repudiation with proof. That means the receiver is going to keep the proof of the request. Later, once the sender is going to deny that they did not made any such kind of request, then the receiver is going to provide the proof of the request. So, in the non-repudiation with proof of the origin, the receiver of the data can later prove that the identity of the sender if denied. And in the another side, in non-repudiation with the proof of delivery, the sender of the data can later prove that data were delivered to the intended recipient. So, in the another example, think that I'm going to have the customer A and I'm going to have manufacturing company. So here the customer is going to buy some product from the manufacturer, and at the same time he or she is going to do the payment. In the another side, that is in the manufacturer side, after receiving the payment by the customer, the manufacturer is going to deny that they did not receive any payment from the customer. Now, I want to provide the security for these kind of attack that can be achieved by using non-repudiation. So, in non-repudiation with proof of delivery. So, with proof of delivery, the sender of the data can later prove that data were delivered to the intended recipient. And at the end, I'm going to have the another type of security service, that is access control. That means we are going to restrict the accessing of the data. That means only the authorized user with some access privilege, they can able to access the data. To provide the security for accessing of data, we are going to have access control mechanism. This service provides protection against unauthorized access. That means whatever the data we are going to have, we are going to provide the security. That means we are going to provide the security through access control. That means only the authorized user can able to view the data or access the data or modify the data, etc. So, to provide the protection against unauthorized access to data, the term access in this definition is very broad and can involve reading, writing, modifying and execution of program. That means whatever the data we are going to have, we are going to provide the access control to the user. That means for each user, we are going to give the privilege. So, what kind of privilege? That is nothing but reading option or writing option or modifying option or execution. That means only the authorized user who is going to have certain privilege, they can able to access the data. So, these are the 5 different security service which is provided by ITU. So, what is ITU? That is International Telecommunication Union Standardization Sector. Now, I'm going to have the relationship between services as well as mechanism. That means to illustrate the relationship between the services as well as mechanism, I have taken the table. In the first column, I have written security services, and in the next column I have written security mechanism. Now, what are the different kinds of security service I'm going to have? That is data confidentiality, data integrity, authentication, non-repudiation, and access control. And which are the related mechanism I'm going to have to support security service? That is, to support data confidentiality, I'm going to have the mechanism called encipherment and routing control. And to support the data integrity security service, I'm going to have the security mechanism, that is nothing but encipherment, digital signature, as well as data integrity. And to support the authentication security service, I'm going to have security mechanism, that is encipherment, once again digital signature and authentication exchange. To support non-repudiation security service, I'm going to have digital signature, data integrity, and notarization. To support the access control security service, I'm going to have the security mechanism, that is access control mechanism. This is the way the security services as well as the security mechanisms are related to each other. So, dear student, in today's session we discussed what is security service. Under security service, we discussed what is data confidentiality, what is data integrity, what is authentication, what is non-repudiation, and what is access control. Along with that, we discussed the relationship between security services as well as security mechanism. In my next session, I'm going to discuss about the different network security techniques we are going to have in this subject. Dear student, this is all about today's session, and in today's session we got more information about security service. Thank you for watching my session. Let's meet in the next session. Until then, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.